I meant to check it for one I did tell. They said I couldn't just get on today, so I was like a brand new baby during that day. Looking at everything. I know why. What's going on? Good night. Good night.
I'll say it's a very difference. So I can put in my name.
Oh, does it take the waters off? Just stash over by a sorry.
I wonder. Because I don't want
So we'll talk one-on-one. We call some names. Damien. That was a book. Chanel. Hadassah. Somebody else.
This Pasha Green.
Oh, and tomatoes online. La Shanta. Farmer. That's another Bible. Oh? D-Wade, are you there? Oh, okay, and Hadassah? You are? Okay, all right. So I looked at both of your papers. But let me go over what I think the assignment should contain. And then I'm going to go over the papers that I received individually. Okay? I need a paper. Bring the gloves off. They don't have a paper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just to the arrow.
Do the arrow.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Now the question asks for an AML analysis. So, okay. So now, bearing in mind everything that we discussed at the last class, that would have given you an idea of the background work that has to be conducted prior to writing. Okay? So, it asks you for a money laundering risk analysis on the firm. So, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, what is the word analysis? What does it mean? Okay? So, risk analysis is the process of defining and analyzing the dangers individuals, businesses posed by money laundering and terrorist financing. So it's asking you to look at the firm. When we spoke about the firm last week, what did we talk about? What did we talk about? We looked at all the issues that came out of the question, correct?
Yes.
So we looked at the structure, AML ATF framework. What else we looked at? These are things we mentioned. Product, geographical risk. That's what? Training. Okay. I promise the people on the thing that when I write, someone will talk.
They can't see.
Because they can't see.
Oh.
Who's volunteering? No, they can't see it. They can't see it. They can see that, but they can't see this. And sometimes they say they can't hear the questions when you all ask. So whoever's close to the mic must repeat. If I can remember that. Anyhow, so risk analysis is the process of defining and analyzing the dangers to individuals or the business posed by money laundering or anti-terrorism. A risk analysis report can be used to align the money laundering and anti-terrorist with a company's business objective. A risk analysis report can either be quantitative or qualitative. Now all of those that I got were just plain words. That's the first mistake you made. Too many words. The next mistake you all made is you repeated everything that's in the question. I don't know if you're trying to find words or do something, but it's like I was reading the question every time, over and over and over again. Okay? The next thing is a lot of you forgot the law. And a lot of you forgot to talk about risk. This is a risk. This is not a risk. These are the issues. Training and cultures. What type of risk? What kind of risk arises from this?
Operational risk?
It could be operational or
Productivity at the end of the day.
operational and what else?
Reputation.
Reputation, okay. Yes. So when you speak about risk analysis, you're looking at the risk that can arise from certain situations. These are the situations in the scenario. So you can't give me everything that was said in the scenario as a risk. You must actually state the risk. Okay? That somebody did it. One paper I got had it. Did you hear that? Yes, he said yes. Okay. Alright. So what I've set up now is the difference between a quantitative and a qualitative risk analysis. Whenever you do a risk analysis, you must have a matrix. Yes. And as you analyze each risk and the probability of each risk, then you write underneath it your analysis of it. You have to give a picture. And then you go through your discussion. So some people had all kinds of discussion, but you didn't do an analysis. What is the likelihood of this risk and the effect on the company? That is what the risk analysis is about.
So don't you go over that again, one more time? If you put
What, the
box on
matrix?
Yes.
You can put the risk on one side, and then you can put the probability. And that can be high, medium, or low. And then you have to discuss each one. Of the risk. Not the issues, the risk. And remember, the risk have to tie in to what is going on and also what you will recommend. They have to tie in. You cannot give me a recommendation on page 8 and you never discussed the risk before because it's not connecting. And try not to use too much Bahamian slang. Little phrases, little 3-letter words. I don't know if I circled any. It's little funny little things. Let's see one in this one. I'd have to look at it. I didn't circle. Yes, they did. I'm not saying that the words are not English, you know. The words are in English. But the way in which it is situated in the sentence, it's like a phrase, a Bahamian slick, what we just throw in there, we always say, you know. No, that's not there, but I'm saying, how you just say, well, you know. So it's things like that in between the sentences, you just take all those things out. Don't forget, you're writing like a professional. So you can't use all those little funny words. Make sure you check your punctuation. You have apostrophes in the wrong place, commas in the wrong place. They mark off all of those things. Yes, it has to be perfect. Yes. What kind of pressure? English, exactly. And so you can see when you sign your paper, you say, I have everything in there. And then when you get your grade, you wonder what happened. Some people repeat the same thing over and over and over again. They say the same thing in paragraph 1, in paragraph 3, and paragraph 5, and they put it in different words. But it's saying the same thing. Like they're trying to find words just to make up the word count. Okay? A risk assessment, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. A risk assessment is a process of evaluating the potential risk that may be involved in projected activity or undertaking. So when we come next class and we do the next unit, we will actually go through a risk assessment. What they're asking you to do is step 2 in the risk assessment process. The first step is what? You have to identify the risk. So, like I said, everything we went through last week, you should have gone through your paper again, highlighted all the issues you see, and identified the risk issues. That's the first thing you identify. And then you can make those risks high, medium, or low. So that's another box. Then you do your risk analysis. And that's what I just said. What?
Yeah, I got it. She was saying something was another box. So you said put the risk and then do your high.
You could actually categorize your risk
Okay.
as high, medium, or low. And you can start that by, I think most of you all start with just given the overview of the company and where it does business. And so if you identify your risk, you could already categorize whether they're high, medium, or low based upon how you operate now. So that when you go into your risk analysis, and you state the likelihood or probability of things happening, it correlates to the level of risk. And the recommendation that you give will be able to put controls in place for all of these risks. What?
Maybe she's talking.
What? She's what? No, but a lot of the papers that I got is there, you know. But you have to set it on. It has to be clear, not a bunch of words all over the place. So sometimes people would talk, they'll go on and on and on, and then a risk drop there. You see what I'm saying? It has to be clear. It asks you for a risk analysis. So you give your little introduction, blah, blah, blah. Then you need to speak about the company. And you're speaking about the company before you identify with the risk. What should you do? Before you identify the risk, what should you do? Someone had it in their paper. I think I have it in here. You put the objectives. That's an introduction. Right here. Speak about the customer, products, the services, and the delivery channel geography. Speak about those, because those determine your risk. Because you're setting it out. No need to tell me that they're operating in 4 different jurisdictions, blah, 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 blah. That's all that falls under geography. You're setting up the framework. Don't forget now, this is risk focus. So you need to pull out the risk. And in any business, these are the first 4 to 5 things that you look at. And so when you set these out, remember what I said to you, looking at where your clients are from, what should you be saying about your customer base? What should you be saying about your customer base? Based upon where your clients are from. And they're high risk. And so when you think about customer and high risk, what comes to your mind?
Enhanced due diligence.
Enhanced due diligence, yes. What else?
Political context of living.
High risk. Think about enhanced due diligence. What else you think about? Perhaps, what else you think about? Because all of these are going to be mentioned in your recommendation in terms of your AML framework in which you need to make recommendations. Remember, they're not getting any UTRs or SCRs, so something is wrong. That means they're not identifying and risk rating their customers properly. So you need to recommend what needs to be done. So you have to look at your customer, the customer base, and then you need to speak to the profile of your customers. So looking at where your customers are from, the jurisdiction, because when you do geography, you'll speak about those countries, you'll speak about their corruption index, you'll speak about whether or not they are sanctioned countries, and then you will rate them. So here comes another table. You put another box in there when you do your geography. And then you have another citation in your bibliography, because you're going to risk those countries. Why are you looking at me like that? What?
Ms. Asha.
What did your mind say?
Ms. Asha.
Yes.
You could go over the box.
What that box is for?
Yes, please.
Geography. You're going to risk rate the countries.
High risk.
No. If you do it high and low, what it is, Russia, whatever it is, and you rate them. Remember that when we went last class, we said severe, moderate, okay, and then you give the source of that in your bibliography. Got it? Flowing now like milk and honey? Yes? Good. So you know customers, yes?
We comment on the banking culture, like some countries don't have proper systems in place, like infrastructure.
They didn't tell you that. No, don't go outside. Don't go outside. Whether or not they have it or not, they are your customers. So when they come to you, you have to carry your own due diligence.
So if construction is like,
When you say construction, what do you mean?
like they're like in these other countries like Nigeria and Russia and places like that, they might have the sale.
That's why you do enhanced due diligence.
But what I'm saying is exclude all of that underneath that particular.
Don't stray off. No. What you try to get your recommendation is putting in place things to make the company run properly. By the time you finish explaining what's needed in customer due diligence, trust me, you have enough words. Trust me, because you get enhanced due diligence, you have the simplified approach, you have the risk rating framework for your clients, you also have your sanctions policy, all of that you need to talk about.
Before we cover the ad,
You have enough to talk about. And go on. What happened to these? No, then you put it down.
I think he can reality now. In the real world, let me
The countries that are sanctioned and the corruption index. Okay, so if you take Russia and you make it severe, when you write at the bottom here, you would say why. And the same thing for each one. And so at the end of this, for this risk, you should be able to say, my geographical risk is severe or it is moderate. And then based upon a compilation of these ratings. And the same thing with delivery channel. So when you go into that unit 4 that speaks about products and vulnerabilities, you have to select the delivery channel that goes with the customer, that goes with the product, that goes with the services. They can't be disjointed. So you're either using mobile banking or you're using deposits, you're using credit cards, and look at the vulnerabilities of using those products, because that's where the risks come in. Money laundering comes from credit card, and that brings in reputation risk. So you pick the product, you pick the service, you have the customer, you have the geography, then you need to mix it all up together and say, what is the risk to the company? What is the company exposed to? And your recommendation will speak to how the company could mitigate against that risk. It's easy once you get the swing of it.
once you get the swing of it.
By Monday?
You have time. I know. No, you don't have to. What is works?
You know what, Karen,
When you start your introduction, you speak to the type of products and services you offer generally. Capture it in one word. Most of our customers use, in the introduction you say, most of our customers use e-banking. So when you get delivery channels, then you break it down. You see what I'm saying? Your whole introduction shouldn't be a regurgitation of the question.
Oh, that's what I did.
You set out.
My friend tell me I was wrong.
You set out what you are going to analyze. You
I
understand?
call it a company.
So it follows. When you open it, it tells me, guess what? This is your customer base. These are the products. This is how you deliver it. My next step is, okay, now she's going to tell me what the risks are. When I read those risks, and I read your analysis of the severity of those risks and the probability of them occurring, your recommendation should say then, for this risk, this is what I will do. For this risk, this is what I will do. It's as simple as that.
So we're supposed to answer this in the tabular form?
Any way you want. Just count the words. But I'm just saying for an analysis, you can do it either in words or in a box. Why you all shaking your head?
Okay.
You want more to come?
Yeah, but I should have come a long time ago. That's what I'm
So then I was doing
Need at least 200. No, seriously. Now after this,
How do you utilize it? Is it just like phone? Is it e-banking? Is it electronic? Whatever it is. There are risks in wire transfer. Okay?
Let me say,
Yes, it's so. You never tell them something. Purpose living that doesn't discuss profile. No way. Yes.
Alright, once you identify,
Oh, you saw with, oh, you saw with people my friend.
put all the recommendations in front of you. So our recommendations will come and go.
That's why we 5% make a recommendation. What I'm saying is they must flow. No. No. You're trying to get A or you're trying to get A? But she next. What happened? What you panicking for? Don't breathe out, don't follow me.
okay, right? I know you gave us, I was wondering, Guy, I was trying to follow against Guy last week.
That was the introduction.
What introduction?
Me last class?
You know, because I was looking at this book, and in some were risk assessment, I was,
Yeah. But they didn't actually do a risk assessment.
you know, they didn't.
They actually do AML analysis.
So what, how do you lay it out? Because see, I tried doing stuff at home.
she's telling her.
Because I was trying to do like something, do you do a table? You was a model, I was no. Okay, first of all, I was reading today. So,
The introduction is going to be about who you are, this product, this client.
right, so we fill that information in, like we make it, if it's a bank, we make it a bank and we say
What products you're offering, how you offer it, all of that.
how you offer it. I'm talking systems, right?
You know the jurisdictions.
Right, so my whole introduction is like, not a company profile, but my whole information, my whole introduction is what PQR does. So PQR is this London-based company, which is a bank, commercial or offshore. And then you flow, so then I need some address, right?
No, what is something?
Okay, so the introduction part is about PQR.
And then you flow into the risks that arise from your operation.
Right, you talk about there. That's what it's like.
How I would start.
Sorry, said it again.
For the benefit of everybody. I want to talk now because I want to share it.
The free channel. Write that down. Like what in the intro part of the intro, the free channel.
Yeah, just put one word, because you're going to expand on it later. Say one word.
So you just a little piece of it. Email it. Okay, like how you say intro.
Did you mark down?
So it's not one word.
Just one word, but I mean is don't go talking a lot of words. Because you need all your words to explain your risk analysis.
So here you talk about the words like see how the button is arrow. So you don't do like you say that like in your head or
What's the risk of the current structure? What's the risk to the company?
but this first of all I said short staff.
No, that's not a risk. You're a risk. Well, you don't need to pass me.
Okay, I started
No.
We didn't go to that great detail. The operational, reputational, legal risk thing. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but for people who are not in the business, Miss, we spent the first 4 weeks talking about customer due diligence. So last week was a refresher for everybody.
Are you serious?
Yes. Okay, so our first thing is introduction, and after we say risk.
No, you won't say the word risk analysis.
I understand y'all had to read, Miss Archer.
You finish, you can take it out.
Miss Archer, I understand that y'all had to read your schedule last week last week because of why did you do that again this year?
Stop.
Because we can do something else. What you say now, I understand. No. What can I have? Why didn't you What you're saying now is we spoke about all in one related to these right things. These are products. Should go to these are products, yes.
That's it. Stop.
Okay, rather than going to new products.
And she's called up
Right, because when I'm talking about products now, we put the products to the customer. These are the products I'm talking about. You put your products in here. And actually say, listen, and then you end up.
That's my thing.
But that's what this is for. That is crazy thing.
So once you've identified right? You have to be able to analyze it. The end product is after you put the controls, how do you manage it? So sometimes the question comes when you just do a vulnerability of just products and services. Every time the question comes, it comes in different ways. So this time I want you to analyze and identify what is the risk in this scenario. That's what I'm Face-to-face or non-face-to-face? Face-to-face or non-face-to-face?
So my, that's it. And that's what your product. How does your product define the
But that's what you can see what products are.
one more person. That's what
Just not introduction. A risk assessment is a process.
I just write it. With me and I don't know about the news and write it, but if I find that it's just
Analyze it. No, it's not in the book, that's what I'm telling you. The book just gives you the layout, the framework. Identifying and assessing risk. ISO standard set for the following steps. Identifying and assessing risk. Identifying, analyzing, and then you
You have to go to that when you get to class, one day you know.
Some questions they ask you.
Has to mark. And you don't get distracted.
They don't use the word assessment. They use the word analysis.
Yeah, but I just, I don't waste money on those things unless I give them money. That's too much money. Because that's too much money.
So I said, and this is not, this is my second recommendation, but I'm saying that
Your recommendation is the same, what you need to be done, it is not an assessment.
So,
An assessment is based on the inherent risk.
so then my recommendations are not right there.
You're not identifying inherent risk.
But that would be, that's the way
Money laundering risk analysis on foreign based on the scenario. So what risk?
I get your point. You mean you work in there, you put it in there. No, but being like that, the
How are you going to control this risk?
But I have to go back.
Okay, and so in controlling that, I speak to information that should be in the profile for customer the framework of that information.
At the back of
So that's what I have to recommendation. Okay, that's what I say, of course I can do it. I was saying, like a section. Considering the late date.
Page 299 is your diagram of an actual risk assessment. This is asking for risk analysis. And what a risk analysis is found on page 295. That's the second step after you've identified the risk and you're assessing it. No, that's what I tell them. They don't want this. When we come next week, we're gonna go through an actual risk assessment. They're not asking you that. Identify exactly. She got it. Just this. And so when you write your recommendation would be more or less the treatment.
That's 294, right?
No.
Okay. And you say, You write a recommendation.
is more or less like you're answering the risk treatment. Because you're saying how you're dealing with the risk. Okay? So, my suggestion to approaching the question. That's my good friend here asks. You don't need to write this down. Do they need to write this down?
Yes.
Do they need to write this down?
Yes.
Brian.
Let them write it down. Wasting the time. Huh?
Yeah, they send it right away.
Who did it last night? Alright, okay, you one question together. Who wants to listen names?
I can get on the law. I said the law.
Who was the names last week?
Pardon me?
Who was the list of names last week? That was that guy in the corner.
I wasn't the last person. I was the second to the last person. You made a long list.
That up there? The email address? Yes, you can use that.
Email address on that?
None? No. I thought we wrote it last week. Yes, you did write it. Yes, it was written. Yes. No, it was done right in class. Yes, send it around. And then they can get it. So don't complain, you'll get it. Why you gonna write? Stop wasting time and listen. The risk analysis is aimed at preventing money laundering and terrorist financing. You agree? That's what this analysis is about. So, I would say settle by discussing the risk of money laundering and terrorist financing and use the legislation. A lot of you forgot all the legislation. You're talking about all kind of things, blah, 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 blah. No law. Huh? No laws. State why this risk analysis is important to PQR Limited. Don't write.
You said no, right?
She's gonna do it as soon as I say end.
Okay.
She'll have it on a flash drive. She can send it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Two of them are flash drive. She's sending around the list now for you to put your email down.
So they have this written already.
She's gonna copy it.
I better not bring my flash drive.
I was bringing my laptop. Let's go.
You have to determine where the money laundering risk is the greatest.
The training.
Management should identify categories of higher risk customers, products and services, and including geographical locations, delivery channels that are inherently higher risk. Do you know what I mean by inherently higher? What's wrong with you? Do you know what I mean when I say inherently higher? No, that don't mean extremely. There are certain risks that are just natural to the type of business that you do. Okay? That's what inherent means.
They just pop up.
No, they don't pop up. They're just a part of the business. Okay? If you're in retail, banking, what's the inherent risk? The highest one of all. No.
The customer.
No. No.
Like bringing in falls and counterfeit money and stuff.
No.
I ain't back in too.
No.
You mean the front teller person or you mean
No. The whole thing. If you're in retail, what's the inherent risk?
Loss of sales?
No.
Loss of business?
Credit.
Fraud?
No, credit.
People defaulted on their loans and stuff like that.
You use the word credit.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. You all keep using the words but not defining the risk.
Okay.
You have to define the risk, not describe the risk. Define it, then describe it.
Okay.
Okay.
What's it?
Verbiage.
Yes, it's verbiage. And they will write about that in their comments if we don't use the right language. That's hard to get. It's hard to get. Then, I would say you identify your clients, the type of clients, to speak about verification of clients, establishing the beneficial owner, the manner of customer acceptability, and the risk assessment of individual clients and groups. All this leads to customer due diligence. Categories of customers, individuals or entities that inherently carry a higher level of sanction risk. You have your non-residents, your foreign customers, your non-profit. You don't need to photograph that. Charitable organizations, exporters, importers, intermediaries. You need to categorize your customer. What? I give this to Miguel to send you all. Go where back? So, the customer risk assessment should include evaluation of the sanctions risk presented by any third party. So you have to look at who your customer does business with. But don't forget, payments out, money in. Okay? AML guidelines, requirements for enhanced due diligence. Refer to the central bank's AML guideline. You need to refer to local documentation. Get the right one. And if you're already in compliance, you could use your firm's policy and handbook and customer acceptance standards. They like when you use, because don't forget you're registered already as a company, ABC Bank. And so if you use your policies and your standards, that take you a little step further than those who don't work there. If you can take it and apply it to the question. Okay? Enhanced customer verification, customer acceptance process. PACs, what's required for a PAC, with measures you put in place for client verification.
All is in our recommendations.
Yes. The procedure for termination of relationships, simplified due diligence, define your risk factors related to customer products. Again, this can be placed on the table if you want to, and you can speak the policies and procedures required to enhance the system. That's a word procedure, okay? Speak about ATF separately from money laundering. Define the term and how it can affect your business based on customer products and jurisdiction. Now, depends on if you're a wordy person, you may have to narrow this down, but if you can write concisely, you can separate money laundering from terrorism. Looking at the jurisdiction, you know they are prone for terrorism.
Russia.
So if you want to, you can separate the two. And you conclude with training on AML, ATF, and sanctions. No, you don't need me.
Yes.
No, I do. See, because look at this.
You want some emails on
Oh, yeah, I will be emailing you guys.
We can have some class. Taxation.
Email us again?
What was that? Class.
So only can find you here on Saturday. Was that what you said?
No, I didn't say you could find me. I said I'm busy teaching a class.
I know it's not about your class.
We're talking about something totally different.
Somebody have the last email we got from Miss Nichols.
That's what I tell them right now.
Yeah, find the last email from Miss Norwich, where she gave the slides.
Because I was going to do all to the recommendation.
My email is on that.
So you get that. I got a call.
but I need to say now
Because I've seen my children.
Yeah, put it in, put it in. I got a smile. That would be great.
That's what I.
Want me to write it for you?
So you say don't use the subheading.
You can use it if you want to as you're writing it as your draft. AML policy and your recommendations. And yes, they are. Yeah, what I must your customers. You will automatically value.
Right, because if you suspect that you're, okay, so your customer.
Certain jurisdictions automatically prompt you to be knowledgeable.
Like Nigeria. And Russia. So, oh, I
So
see.
anything that falls outside of the customer's normal business, then you file the GR.
And I would say that in my paper, like I would say,
No, you talk about the controls you put in place. I don't need you to tell me what to do on a day-to-day basis.
Like they need to
so the recommendations flow in the paper is not a.
No, they're just good.
Right, because that's why I say something. So how I talk about the company, right? I talk about the training, right? If you don't have sufficiently trained employees, it goes to the the risk is that if you don't train them, they would be able to recognize money laundering.
So what risk do you have for that?
Oh, you mean like the jurisdictional risk? So identify. Okay, I got it.
So you take all the issues and identify them, okay?
Before you press time, it's send it to the wrong time.
Okay, can I have a
Lower case, you know. No, you want my work email on your
My friend is telling me that I write my own.
Before you press time,
You got the slides from it.
which page is it? Excuse me, I'm actually with your hands, that is all.
Anybody else?
Sorry.
ST. You maybe at gmail.com.
I know I do all Bernadette dots and thought it's the address.
No, because don't forget how you do an analysis of each risk. How it will affect the business.
Did you get the slide?
Yes. Then you go to recommendation of how you would correct these things. What plans that you put in place to mitigate against these risks.
Okay, got you.
Different jurisdictions, and we're doing
Those different jurisdictions is geographic risk.
right, but then like going to a new paragraph, you say this structure of geographical risk, and then outline.
No. You have to say that after you give your little introduction of the company and how it's operating its products, then you need to say the risk that I have identified in these companies are set out below. Then you go through risk. When you go through each risk, you state whether these risks are highly probable, less probable, or highly probable. And you state why. No, that comes when you got the recommendation. The recommendation is when you're trying to say, this is because this risk is high. This is what I'm going to put in place, and this will address this issue. Look at this issues. No, not to be in order. You have to rank them. Take the issues in the question, with each issue, map it to a risk. That's why I said last week in class, I said, this is the introduction. That's why I went through each line and I gave you each issue. So if you listed all of the issues, you now put the risk connected to each one.
We got the diagram.
That was the diagram. We spoke about it. Yes. But you say better not the risk, the likelihood that risk is probable. And it's highly probable, moderately probable, or less probable. If you want to do it and then you discuss them. Okay, alright, so you don't get you from the shop. Right? I don't know what and it can be no, this was actually go. Is it just we can lead to that too? That's what I'm saying. I'm about to tell her that now. She said she doesn't know the risk. You have people risk, compliance risk, legal risk, reputational risk, operational risk, credit risk, regulatory risk, geographic risk. You have concentration risk. You have exposure risk. There's all different types of risk. So if you look at people as an issue, right? People leads to people risk. You can also lead to a compliance risk, It can also lead to a regulatory risk. It depends on how the question is framed. So right now they're saying that the staff is not adequately trained.
That's
Okay? So that can lead to reputational risk, operational risk, and may even come to regulatory risk. That's how you frame it.
Yes, because the regulations say that you
Okay? So I'm saying, if you have it mixed up in there, just identify the risk. Yeah, it's there. Geographic risk. And based on the jurisdiction, and you come to that conclusion when you go to take in the countries where they operate. Remember what I said? Right, but it has to be clear. Yeah, you've got too many words. You could have the required number of words, but it's visual. You got to be able to see. I should be able to pick up your paper, and I can see the rest off. I can just take this like this and look like this and look down, and the word risk should jump out at me. You see what I'm saying? So I look at your paper and I go down. I didn't see no word risk. Nothing. Yeah. You can use it to expand and analyze it as to why you say it's high. Yeah, and this again, these things could also be high in total. Based on your product or services and your introduction.
What is that? I can forward it.
Oh, laws of the beginning. The beginning. Yeah, PFU is a licensed entity in the Bahamas, regulated by the Security Commission and the laws that govern money laundering and the proceeds of crime activity and FDRA. Full stop. Yes. Yes, yeah. When I wrote so first when people talk to me, we send it to them. You send it to them? Okay, good. Yeah. I can't fit in there. She just saw me. She didn't come in to talk to her.
Just talk to them, I listen.
Yes.
Okay.
I see now what you said. Yes.
That was my first time. So I go there every office. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I give you a from today, I was saying that
That's what I do.
It's the same thing, it's just that my, like, you know, some of it, not for this, for like, not for this, I had to do work, to work.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be a essay.
Your products, your market, and your so that's the problem where you are. That's like you know, when I say, okay, you know what I'm saying? But I gotta keep going back to questions. What it is you're trying to say? It's not the same thing.
Because it's the acknowledgement, so I don't care.
Shut up. Yes, I put your law. Right.
You know what it is?
Yeah, in here. Some.
Acknowledgement is
It sets the framework. Okay? It sets the framework. Because I don't want to get to the end and find out what law should be looking at. So, okay? We always on the second page, right? We need a little bit more than that. Okay? All right, cool. The proceeds of crime act. You need a footnote. You need a footnote.
But I don't think you need to of it's like right here.
Short staff, right? Because I noticed Iris, then they say it's because a lot of
K5 don't be no joke.
I guess it's way too much more for it.
My thing is that tell him I'm at a disadvantage because you I saw the sketch right now. I mean, I know my stuff. I know what I can put there. Just a matter of sitting down and going through it. I put in my stuff. They're not open the public. Yeah, that's all I know.
Go to basic committee. Basic committee, papers.
Yeah, I have a big paragraph.
It's just some check flows in there, like I don't see basic committee, right? I'm sure I You may give a large operational as a your transfers or whatever, then when you have your recommendations, then you put how to mitigate that risk. Right. So it's like say what it is and then solve it.
So your recommendations will come from the issue.
Right. Yeah, so this is I understand that part.
That's the way you're thinking.
No, issue 8, no, you're first. The issue. I understand what and then like a issues. The risk your people is an applied risk, a reputation is an regulatory risk. And there's no
That's the thing.
Yes.
People just have a AML training that made us ensure that everybody is in that's your recommendation. That's how I got that to flow. Especially so you identify the risk as a regulatory risk. Your issue is your people and lack of training, and it's this is your recommendation. So that's why the issue is under part A. I'm going to put that in part A, right? Because the part B is where you get that's what I do. You understand? Because that's your recommendation. Part A is your recommendation. So I don't know what your and then part A,
Bye. See you next week. I'm going to be quiet.
For me, I have to see the issues following up. So I have to see like what risk is that off. I don't know what the risk people risk, right? So many people my firm, I would recommend that I enhance. Don't be like the brand. I'm a specialist.
Say you're a consultant, so aren't you speaking with a third body? They say you're an AML consultant, so I don't work there. I'm a consultant, you hire me to do analysis.
So just think PQR, just think
PQR, sure.
PQR should do this, should do that. So PQR should
How she did it, the one should be
I put
with an information technology system. They have an information technology system already. Your customer diligence is not just about this.
no, they're treating, you want to treat them employees.
The information of your customer, your customer.
You just don't talk about it. All that you need to talk about that. So far, let your when you would have done your customer, your risk, reputation risk, by not being able to provide SCRs and UTRs, you should have already done your your reputation risk, where it's high order, and in your write-up, you would say why it's high order. It's high because of the geographical risk and also because of the customers themselves.
I shade.
No, they're not shades, don't put that on the change.
No, I won't allow that.
High risk, and then you can test it. The commercial, those places, they're fair. So you have to explain your
So that's still good.
Good night, everyone.
They say that this is outsourced, right? Administration, right? If you can do it.
Did you send it to, you didn't send it to Ford?
Operational costs.
whenever you outsource something, you have to be able to get is it really operational? Are they using the system?
Yes,
Like
people are using the system.
No, for me, they're not using.
My
Okay,
thing
so
is,
yours is not.
I have a
pay
paper.
for.
Right.
So what's the risk?
A couple lines.
No. Not unless they're doing something.
It's not a application risk. It's not a.
Loss of documentation exposure.
You use that.
If they,
So it becomes a
what paper
regulatory.
you're giving them, or you store it and you say to your client data
So you
externally.
get a regulatory and you have a legal risk.
Yes,
Okay.
because you
Okay.
have,
Depends on
confidentiality
when you
laws.
frame it, and you say what it is that you've outsourced, and then you explain the function that is outsourced, then you build on the risk.
Okay, so I put it, and then I could use in there, I could use, but the prior to this risk, to this being outsourced, they gotta get a consent and all of that. Even for that, blah, blah, blah.
If it's
That's where your
Right.
regulatory risk
Right.
comes in.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
She's just looking at it across.
There's a precious fountain there.
Go to church Sunday.
I just been.
Go to church, I'll be at home.
You gotta pray, let the pastor pray for you.
I'll be praying, listen to me, I'm gonna be praying from tonight, I can't wait till Sunday to pray. I'm like,
No, you ain't lost.
I need to go back, just try to get my money back. So what?
Yeah, you can't give me money
So
back.
from this, right, it looks like I know what I supposed to be doing.
Oh, you? Yes. You just have to set it up right.
I think
Say what
so.
this is.
But you must not email, so I can, you will
Oh,
do
stuff like that. Do stuff like what?
like, you're gonna hit the final product.
The final product is when you hit send.
No, okay, my second or third draft then. Okay, what's your email?
You sent it before?
No. Okay, Miss Archer. Share with me.
Everybody has my email.
She gave me last class.
She didn't come last class.
Yes, I was here last month when I was sitting over here.
Yeah, oh yeah, you came late.
Right,
I
that's
didn't
all.
take it off the board, that's why. What's up?
Where you were?
You can't? Most likely not.
Yeah, so I was asked, because if I use a bank, should I use a commercial bank or offshore
Yes,
bank?
it's up to you, whatever one you want, I'll give it. One of them.
See, you know about these things, because you're the banking system already.
You don't have to be in banking system.
Okay, Miss Archer.
Yes.
This is my understanding.
They don't go to border. Anyway,
Wait.
so, this is my understanding, right? You have to do the risk analysis, and then you have to make recommendations. So, you finish right now. So, in the structure of the paper.
Don't take the paper.
Let me get them back together.
Oh, I didn't know what products
So-
I come from.
When I restructure now, I'm going to describe the company and say what type of business it is, say what the jurisdiction is. In the jurisdiction that you talk about, then at that point, when you describe it, when I then identify that this is a geographical risk, or should I, okay, so just describe the company.
Laws, who regulates it and the
The
laws.
central bank of the
Set it up.
Bahamas.
Yeah, I copied central bank examination from that. Not central bank examination. Like when they do like kind of the AML thing, anything that central bank puts out, they first in their introduction, their scope, whatever they describe, all of that, stuff like that. Okay, so, talk about the jurisdiction and the geography, the type of business it is, the customers that have, the product types, delivery channels, and describe the thing in full. And then say, based on whatever this is, these are the risks that we have, whatever, and then you list
These are
your
the
risks.
risks that I've identified that your company is exposed to.
So regulatory is one.
And you're not listing them off, when you list them, when you put that, then you, if I say, like, for example, like, thing with the outsourcing. So when I say, exposure risk, do I give a two-liner there, so what your administrative functions are outsourced or whatever, and blah, blah,
No,
blah.
that goes in your analysis. You actually list the risk.
Just list them,
What's
these are the risks that we identified.
And then you go through each one.
And then you say,
Oh.
What I want you to do after you list the
geographical
risk,
people.
after you have listed, oh my God, once you have identified the risk, you have to rank them.
Oh, so what's the most high, the potentially highest risk for the company?
Probability,
Right,
yes.
so if the company is most likely to, if the legal risk is the highest, I put that top.
No, stop.
No.
No.
You identify your risk, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes.
Tables.
I like
I put an all chart in mine
tables,
too.
I'm sorry.
I put an all chart in mine as well, when they talk about all the MLRO, and who you report to, local health business and all that. I put
You did
an all
that right,
chart.
I did an organizational chart.
I did an all chart to talk about corporate
But
governance.
they tell me, someone said, what you did that for, and I was like, I did it because I figured it makes sense to me.
I spoke, is corporate governance a risk or is that an issue?
No, that's not a risk.
What is the risk for corporate governance?
Depends on what the issue is.
The MLRO reports up, if somebody in the middle, but reports the head of business that drives new business. So
And
why is
then-
the MLRO
okay.
compliance
And so
officer?
then you go to the Basel
Uh-huh.
I went there.
document.
That stipulates that you should not have a direct report.
Central Bank said,
Central Bank says the same thing.
it has a guideline for MLRO.
Yes, but that was, yes, I do.
Yes, it
It
does.
has one tiny little line,
It
it does.
But
Yes,
it's
it
there.
does.
But it's there.
So you have to state that.
Yeah, they should not report directly
There you
into the
go.
business, thingamajiggy.
So you have a regulatory risk, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's up, okay, got you.
Okay?
So
So here, you take the risk and you rate it.
That's another thing. People mention this low, moderate, and severe. I went on the transparency corruption indexing. It just gave me numbers. It didn't state it like this. Where are those terms located? Am I on the right index? The corruption index, transparency international corruption index.
Yeah.
It gives numbers from
Hold
0 to
on,
100.
Hold on. Just as a geographic risk, right? It's just geographic itself. When you go to speak about this geographic risk, if you, let's say you put it here, you have to explain why that's that. So then you say, according to the transparency index, Russia is rated 1 or whatever it is,
44.
which translates to this. Nigeria is rated this, and you summarize it based on our business and the products where we operate. I would conclude that this, based on our customer base and product delivery, should be rated as moderate to generate more business. That's just an
You have a past
analysis.
paper so I can get the verbiage? I understand what
There's
you're
no
saying.
past paper.
That's why I was like,
Oh,
no, okay,
question
yeah,
is
but
different.
any paper, the verbiage I
No,
need.
they're not written.
It's the, yeah, it's the word. I need
They're not
something to pull the verbiage from, because I'm listening to you and I know when I go to write it, because I don't speak that verbiage, it does not come through.
Why, it sounds like I speak the verbiage.
If you flow it, you are flowing it.
Okay, push one on your list. Push one on.
That's how each one you can do like that. Each one.
That's all you want to do?
Each one you have to do that. That's what the analysis is.
Okay.
Okay, and all that is your now, so you have your chart, and then you put your item.
You're gonna explain why.
That is moderate
or why it is severe. The actual risk.
According to the whatever index, it's rated a number so and
Right.
so, which is
And
moderate.
so let's say you say you put operational risk as severe. Why is it? Why is it severe?
Okay,
Financial loss due to this, and this, because of this, and this.
okay.
Issues that you
Gotcha.
have highlighted.
Possible financial loss. that's
Whatever,
yeah.
right.
Okay. Okay. And then in your recommendations, you say to mitigate this risk,
All of those risks.
then you take them one at a time like that and speak to
I
all the
see what
issues.
you would
So if you start off with legal risk, all the issues, you could then subsection your recommendations, of legal risk, and then you could then say your legal risk related to that, you can do this.
But in all of this, we're looking at AML. So the first thing you have to speak about when you get a recommendation is your AML policy and its handbook, because that triggers everything.
But we derived that from the FTAF and all the other places.
No.
Central Bank of AML guideline.
Right.
So I'm speaking
And
to
it
that.
speaks to you having a framework.
I tell them refer to the Central Bank AML guidelines as it states for the systems.
This is what is required, and so what you do is take the existing framework and we need to enhance it, thereby you will risk rate our customers. Right? Because when you would have done your risk here, whether it was reputational risk, when you would have explained why reputational is high, you would have spoken about your customer profile.
Yes, because that's what I tell you.
Customers will
I just say
probably
have it set up.
and they're high risk. And so when you go here to your customer due diligence, but you don't
I spoke about
framework,
enhanced
you still
diligence.
speak about enhanced due diligence, and I'll tie it into your.
And then I spoke about the things that you should cover when, I spoke about the things when if it is enhanced due diligence, and these are how you monitor
So
or how
that's
you
why
cover
you
your
get this
enhanced
paper
diligence.
months in advance. So you read in advance, and as we lecture,
Half was in get
pull out.
access to the paper.
I still
Pull out.
didn't get on the
The lady
site.
sitting before me just get on the site to
So
see.
I
she gonna get it from last week, last? It was right here.
I got the paper, I got the question last week.
Remember the guy brought it to me the class last week? Well, that's all she had to do.
Y'all found ease in getting on the site?
But
you
I
know,
sure
you
that
get
it's
easy
done
to do.
too, but the first couple of weeks we were talking about it, it was not broken down like this, how you break it down everything up. And with this knowledge, it wasn't breaking down, broken down.
Like she talked about products and services, but
I
you know what
know.
didn't happen? You started class and you kept expecting the light bulb to go off.
Yes, nothing
But it
went
was
on.
never,
But
it
someone
wasn't
like me who
tied
doesn't
in.
do stuff like that, I don't
So
understand.
now I understood what she said, and we did the different areas and the FATF and all the different.
Yeah, she did all the laws.
Yeah, I understood that, I read that, I comprehend that. I couldn't make it that.
Put it together,
We
exactly.
didn't put it, I had to read this book.
And then when you keep on talking
Not
about
that
identifying the risk, was it you wrote the list on the board? And then you
No.
say, I said, okay, so people, I'm trying to say,
But you know what I
Is it
find
you?
helpful?
Is it late now?
yeah, okay, good.
These helpful. These things here.
Yeah,
They
you
are
know that.
helpful,
I
exactly.
read this and I was able to answer, that's how I was able to answer something on the question. Customer due diligence.
That helps.
The Basel.
You did all of them.
Yeah,
She's
all,
gonna set all them in the back of the video.
all these girls.
And the Basel have a lot of papers.
The business has a
Yeah.
lot, oh my gosh.
The Basel have a lot.
And you bring those when you come to the
Because I
exam.
have one on
You bring it when you
compliance.
come to the exam.
Tell me the structured exam, please. There's only one exam, right? Like essay questions, short answers.
And you can
No,
bring them
no.
in the exam.
All
No
essay.
multiple
It's
choice,
just like
right?
this what you're writing right now.
Scenarios.
Mercy.
With long sheets of paper.
How long is
COB
it?
paper.
Uh-huh.
Just
3 hours. Okay, that's like a CPA paper.
Well,
So you're gonna ask 3 or 4 questions, right?
You've done
English.
3 or 4 questions and normally when I go 4 pages per question.
Yeah, because
in 3 hours?
You have to.
How much question?
If you want to get it.
But I mean, that's my problem.
It's
I have
essay
to write and
questions,
read
that's
this
it.
out and put back and
No,
write.
you don't have time for that.
You don't have no time.
But you don't have time to footnote an exam, that's why I
It's no
say.
footnote.
You don't have time to footnote an exam.
When you write, you write.
You just say according to Basel compliance
So,
paper and you
you're the
write.
paper right there.
You
Yeah.
hold it and you write.
And you
Okay.
read them and you highlight it.
You know exactly where
where you go and open it, you
Yeah.
finish map, blah, blah, blah. You see
Okay.
that there, you get points.
Okay.
Once you say according to whatever, then it's on plagiarism.
Let's go.
Let me put my keys in my bag.
You can't get in there and check it out. Yeah. Hello.